We'll begin with a lighthearted moment amidst all of the seriousness of the day. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelenskyy came to the White House today with a slight upgrade in his dress attire, striking a stark contrast from his previous visit. Here's an exchange that he had with President Trump and a reporter earlier.
President Zelenskyy, you look fabulous in that suit.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, you look good.
I said the same thing.
Yeah.
Isn't that nice? That's the one that attacked you last time. See, now he's. I remember that.
That's the same reporter, Brian Glenn, who actually called out President Zelenskyy at the previous meeting that turned into a bit of a fiasco in terms of the way he was dressed. That sort of started part of what triggered that. Harry, does Zelenskyy's outfit signal a change in attitude compared to his last visit at the White House?
You know, normally I'd say I really don't care, but I have to be honest with you. I do think it does. I mean, I'm not sure who advised President Zelenskyy to go into the White House last time with all guns blazing, but he looked ridiculous when he was there last time. He seemed ungrateful. I mean, there's no doubt the Ukrainian people have been through heck and back when it comes to this war. You know, hundreds of thousands of casualties, trillions of dollars in damage. You know, there are brave people who have gone through a lot. But their leader did them wrong when he came to the White House and seemed ungrateful after the United States is $37 trillion in debt, and we've handed them hundreds of billions of dollars in aid. I mean, that's what a lot of people, I think, just general Americans just watching this, maybe tuning in for the first time, said, we gave them all this money and that's how he acts, ungrateful. So I think he had to look in the mirror. I'm sure he got a lot of advice on how to act with President Trump. But I think with somebody in President Zelenskyy's position, the first rule of diplomacy is to listen, not talk so much and not ask for things or demand for things, but to listen and to be grateful and to be humble. And I think he did those things, to be honest with you. I mean, there's a lot of tough questions are asked about security guarantees, things he's going to want, things he's going to demand. And if you noticed, he was a lot more tactical this time, much more strategic. He was able to sort of move around certain questions, not give full answers, but keep coming back to the fact of how grateful he was and how he appreciated U.S. aid and how he appreciated European help. And I think that's a welcome tone, and I think it's going to serve him well.
Certainly a level of respect and decorum that the Oval Office begs of its visitors. Rick, while we're talking about all of this and how it could impact Europe, what kind of effect will it have if a truce does indeed happen? Is it going to be a win or lose scenario for, say, the Chinese Communist Party, who's surely watching all of this closely?
Oh, yeah. Oh, without a doubt. No, look, this war, the end of this war will reset great power economics, and China knows this. Since at least 2022, Russia's pivoted from Europe to Asia, and most of its crude exports were going to Asia, India, and China as serving as I guess those anchors. Beijing has leverage, right? But it's commercial and it's fragile. What we're seeing is barter deals and settlement problems as these sanctions really start to bite, a sign that Russia-China trade is adaptive, but it is strained. And if America leads a peace that ties security guarantees to Western market access, Russia suddenly has an economic alternative to China. Energy flows can then be rebalanced towards Europe under the right conditions, and capital and technology can then again reopen, right? Selectively as I guess these secondary sanction risk issues start to be mitigated away through them honoring whatever agreements are made during this peace process. Look, I think that the net effect there is Beijing's grip should weaken. Moscow we should hedge back towards the West and ultimately try to get, particularly in Putin's case, right? As of even today, right? He's still being considered a war criminal, someone who should be prosecuted, someone who should be behind bars. he needs to be accepted again somehow. There needs to be a pathway for him to be accepted again in the West. And by accessing these Western markets and doing what he's supposed to do regarding the peace process, that will weaken Beijing and get him at least in a much more favorable light.
Now, John, it's no question that Russia has been pushed closer to China with this no limits partnership. Both leaders meeting each other multiple times. We did see coming out of the Putin summit on Friday, President Trump in his interview with Sean Hannity pointing out that that relationship historically may not be quite as strong as everybody thinks it is, and that they are, not, innate allies. So can the United States, John, pull Russia away from the clutches of the CCP through this peace deal? And what will it take for that to ultimately happen?
I don't know if President Trump will succeed, but I definitely believe that that is one of his main objectives. And if I can take it a little bit further, Steve, I actually think that the effort here to achieve, if not a ceasefire, a political settlement, the Russian invasion of Ukraine, is not the end in and of itself. It's part of a larger play by the Trump administration to try to normalize the U.S.-Russia diplomatic relationship again. To try to see where there are areas of potential cooperation between the U.S. and Russia, whether it's in energy deals, minerals and rare earth elements and metals that we need for the 21st century technologically advanced global economy, whether it's space cooperation. Remember, the START arms control agreement is expiring in February of 2026. If we don't have Washington and Moscow sitting together to come up with a new treaty or a continuation and extension, we have the end of arms control as we know it, at least for the foreseeable future. But I think also the idea that China and Russia are strategic allies is a false notion. I think they're tactically aligned right now. And yes, the Biden administration made some tremendous errors in pushing Russia into the waiting arms of Xi Jinping. I don't know if President Trump can be successful, but I think the good news here is that Vladimir Putin himself is looking to achieve a new geopolitical equilibrium as well as Donald Trump, so that there's a third pole between the U.S. and China, and Russia can maintain some level of independence from both and also achieve a new security architecture with Europe, which Russia feels very much obligated to participate in. And Russia is not going to disappear from Europe's eastern frontier, so they cannot permanently isolate Russia. This is going to be a grand bargain that may take years to play out. To Harry's point earlier in this hour, it may not be days, it may not be weeks, but I think that's the long-term play here by the Trump administration. And then, of course, the question will be, can it endure beyond the President Trump presidency?
Unfortunately, we are out of time. Harry Kazianis, Rick Delatorre, John Sitlides, thank you guys so much for your commentary.